And Belle will bear 3 girls, Lydia, Carol, and finally, a last daughter, Ailey, who will learn to honor a line reaching back to people whose names she will never know, to praise the blood that calls out in dreams long after memory has surrendered. The Love Songs of W.E.B. DuBois. Y'all, this book has really just been at the center of just my thoughts for a couple of weeks. And I definitely had to take some time after I finished it to really like gather my thoughts. And I really couldn't even like take notes. So I'm kind of talking off the cuff. This is definitely not something where I'm looking down at my notes to think through. So I'm kind of talking out loud. It's been very difficult for me to actually be able to kind of put everything that I've been feeling about this book into words, but hopefully I am able to do that. So I had talked in my mid-year book freakout tag about a set of books that I have been wanting to read in the second half of 2021. I had talked in my mid-year book freakout tag about the books that I wanted to read in the second half of the year that were coming out, like the new releases and everything. And one of them that I knew that I had to read was a book that had been sitting on my bookshelf for a hot minute. And it was a book that I was planning on reading like before my birthday came and went, and then, you know, the school year started back, because it is a very chunky book. And that book is The Love Songs of W.E.B. DuBois by Honorée Fanonne Jeffers. And this book is 780, including like the end, is 797 pages. And so, of course, I knew that I would be taking on like a real commitment reading this book. So thank God for audiobooks. Shout out to Audible. Sponsor me. Thank God for audiobooks, because I was able to start reading this book and then listen to the rest on audio. And y'all know how I feel about audiobooks. It's something that I can do while I'm cooking, while I'm cleaning, while I'm doing my hair, all different things. And so I knew it would be a real commitment, but finally, you know, and I've said this in other videos, you know, it's all about when the timing is right. And I felt like the time was right for me to finally pick up this book. And I think that this is a book that you kind of do need to pick up when the time is right. And now that that fall, winter season is coming in, where you can kind of curl up with a really good book, I think that this right here would definitely be that book. So yeah, it's 700 and, you know, not including the acknowledgments and everything, it is 790 pages. And I think that going into this, I was very, very intimidated by the size of this book. And I've read a lot of books, and over the past couple of years, as I've really been trying to pay attention to what new stuff is coming out and really trying to like read these books as soon as they come out and different things like that, especially the ones by Black authors. And you know when you pick up a book and it has a lot of depth, it's a powerful book, and it's as deep as the sea. Like, I'm talking like ocean deep, you know, and there's so much in it, and you're like, ooh, I love this book. I want to love this book. I really want to love this book. I really want to love this book, because the imagery is great. The symbolism is great. I can see like the message is just like so intense and so complex. And I can tell that this author did a lot of work on this, but there still is like a connection that you just don't have. That's what I was kind of worried with it going into this book, because I'm like, it's huge. You know, it's called The Love Songs of W.E.B. DuBois. You know, as somebody that has only read a little bit of DuBois, like, y'all, I've read The Souls of Black Folk, and I've read like the first 5 pages of Black Reconstruction. Is this a book where I'm gonna have to do a ton of studying in order to read? And I really was worried, you know, even as somebody that does attempt to tackle complex text. I was intimidated. And when I opened it up, I couldn't stop reading. I picked up this book. I was at the bookstore, and it was kind of a slow day. And, I was sitting behind the counter, and I was just reading this book. And I kept stopping and telling one of my coworkers about the book and what was going on in the book. And slowly but surely, I ended up like 200 pages in. Like, I think by the end of that shift on a Sunday, I was 200 pages in to this book. And I stopped and I was just like, did I really fly through this book like this? And the story, the story is phenomenal. It's really phenomenal. So I said I have yet to talk about the story, and I can see that I'm 6 minutes into this video. So the story, to sum it up best, it's about an Afro-Indigenous family, a family with roots that are both indigenous and roots of, Black people, enslaved folks. And the complications of that history, the complexities of that history, all of the different lines that are joining into each other, and the relationships and the brutality and the violence, and and then the resulting present day, where you get these three sisters that are all different colors, and their mother, having these daughters that are the products of a line that is full of so much complexity, so much history, so many different stories. There of course is the European ancestry that comes from those that enslaved them. There is the indigenous ancestry, the marrying, the sort of intermarrying of indigenous people and escaped slaves. And you've got all of these stories, and so I think that there was this one line in the book where the author, they talk about the mother and her daughters, and it says, "Lydia don't look like none of us, doesn't. Daddy's got brown eyes, but he looks like a white man. Mama's dark like chocolate and little and pretty. She makes her hair straight with the hot comb and blue grease. I'm dark too, but not like Mama. I got red in my skin underneath the brown like my granny. Coco's eyes and skin match like caramel candy. Her nose is wide like Mama's, and she's real short too. Her hair's like Mama's, and it grows real long. Lydia's hair is long too, but won't hold a curl. But in the back of her head, she's got a kitchen. It grows in curls like mine. That's how you can tell that she's a Black girl. She's got a gap in her teeth like Mama's too. Her skin is light, but not like Daddy's. She looks like she went out in the sun and stayed a long time and got a tan. But Mama says Black folks don't get tans. We already got some color, and Mama don't care if folks are ignorant about her children. Doesn't. She carried all of us in her belly, and we belong to her, and we should love her very much." And so, you've got, Honorée Fanonne Jeffers does a wonderful job of, making sure that she doesn't forget, making sure that she tackles all of these topics of just skin tone is something that is often talked about, and we very easily can sometimes just chalk it up to, of course that's what we got from when our ancestors were assaulted on these plantations, and the product of enslavement, the variety of skin tones that we have. But getting that deeper story of just especially those Black people that definitely do have indigenous that do have Native ancestry in them. And, you know, just, I think that it's kind of hard to really describe, but just there's so much that is so well explained in this book that I think that it is a great talking point to really explaining on a more intellectual and historical level the ways in which we look so different, and the way that our families and our family trees are so complex, because so many of us are not able to just like look in books and know, you know, be able to take like a DNA test and automatically know our ancestors, you know, all of those different things. I think that the Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois really attempts to dive deep into one family's history to help us really begin to unpack the complexities of our own family histories, and urge us to really go in search and investigate where we come from and the stories of our ancestors, because they do have stories. And, you know, some of them made good decisions that we would say are good. Some of them made questionable decisions. They were people, you know, they were more than just like these dusty, ashy photographs that we sometimes may have access to from the early 1900s. You know, they had parents and children, and they had people that came before them. And, you know, the family history in this book really reaches so far back in what these characters are able to access and learn about. And, you know, the discussion of land, and the discussion of, you know, of wealth, and the discussion of academia and elitism and colorism, because, you know, this all traces back to this family's Georgia roots. And Ailey and her sisters attend this HBCU in Georgia, and you see like the Greek organizations at the time, and the colorism that existed in those, and the hierarchies that existed, you know, even at this historically Black institution down there, and just the struggle of being an academic. Because, y'all, and like, and this book came at a really great time, because every time I think that I want to go into like higher education, or like really like actively investigate what like going into academia would entail, I read these horror stories. So I think that Ailey's journey in this book, you know, is interesting. It's very, very interesting. But I just love this story so much, and I appreciated every aspect of it and the complexities of these characters and their stories. And I will say that this was a book that made me cry. Like, I legit was in tears reading this. And I tweeted to Honorée Fanonne Jeffers that there was one particular scene that I was literally laying in my bed, and I was reading it, and then like these tears just started falling from my eyes. And I know it sounds so dramatic, but this book did that. This book really, really did that. And I'm grateful that I read it. I'm really grateful that I read it. And it didn't just have like, it wasn't just completely academic. It didn't wind up being like a super dense text. Like, I flew through it I just flew through the story, you know. And I don't want to like simplify it by saying that it is an easy read, because it's not. It definitely has its moments where you really have to like pause, like take pause. But it is a book that you will enjoy. It is a book that you will be like, you'll just be in there with the characters. Like, you're through the good and the bad, you know, through the questionable decisions, through the bad relationships, you know, through the grief that they're experiencing, through the love that they experience, you know. And so I fell in love with this book. And at the end, I was really like, I need to read more. You ever get a book where you're just like, I need to read more? This was a book that really was like, it challenged me to be like, you need to pick up some books. You gotta be like alien them and read some more, y'all. And it has me looking at that stack of books behind me and the unread books on my bookshelf. Like, you need to read some of that. You need to get some more nonfiction, pick up some history books, start tracing your family history. Y'all need to start booking some plane tickets to go visit some places and do some investigating on my family. Go to some archives, maybe take a little 23andMe test. Like, whew. This book did it for me. It really did it for me. So I definitely would encourage everybody to pick up the Love Songs of W.E.B. DuBois. I don't even know what I said in this review. Hopefully I wasn't just rambling, but I feel like I was. But I definitely think that this is a must read. This is a must read. So go pick it up and let me know what you think. And have you read anything similar? Have you read any other books that kind of are along the lines of this? Let me know, because I definitely want to pick up some books that that talk about like families and family history, and especially those that are written by Black authors and about Black people. So I hope you enjoyed this review of the Love Songs of W.E.B. DuBois by Honorée Fanonne Jeffers. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Have you picked up this book? Are you thinking about picking up this book? What have you been reading lately? Drop that all in the comment section below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and press that subscribe button if you haven't already. And I will catch all of you in the next one. And always remember that you are loved.